Good morning, everyone. I hope this finds you well. We're going to try a new format today. I'm going to give you a lesson via this video, so hopefully it's a little bit easier, a little bit more streamlined. Instead of you guys trying to lecture off of my voice alone, I can give you an actual presentation. So I think we're going to try and do this as much as we can going forward. So I hope everyone's well. Bless all of you. Let's get going with currency in the Federal Reserve. So today we're going to talk about currency in the Federal Reserve. And what is currency? Currency, simply put, is money. And money is a medium of exchange that's used instead of bartering for goods. We wouldn't really want to barter for goods. It would be tough. Imagine if we were farmers and you wanted to trade for food or something else. You got to decide what your goods are worth, and then you got to compare it to what their goods are worth. And it's not so easy to tell if you're getting ripped off or if it's a good deal. And so governments really started to get into the currency exchange. They started to regulate their own currency. Think all the way back to the Roman period of our history. And really before that, I'm just saying the Romans really believed strongly in their money. They had the emperor printed on their coins. And those coins were backed up by the power and the might of the Roman government, and they meant something. So governments started stepping in and regulating currency just to make life a little bit easier for everyone. So when you tried to trade for goods, it streamlined the process. So currency is money and it's simply a medium of exchange that's used for bartering goods. What types of currency are there? Well, there's a few. The first one is digital. Um, the one we most of us have heard of anyway is called Bitcoin. It's an algorithm based currency. A Japanese researcher, I believe, I think he's a mathematician, he came up with Bitcoin and he created this algorithm that requires people to use computers to mine, and I'm putting the word mine in quotes, to mine Bitcoins. And the more people that are trying to mine Bitcoins, the faster Bitcoins come out. And since they come out at just the right rates, they don't get, they're not subject to inflation like other currencies. So in the future, we're probably going to see more digital or online currencies like Bitcoin, but there are some security issues. People get their Bitcoin stolen from them all the time, so from hackers and whatnot. The next type of currency is called commodity currency, and this is currency that's based on actual commodities. So imagine people exchanging diamonds for gold, or gold for silver, or diamonds for oil. Commodity currency is important because some people still use specific commodities for exchange. And so it's just one type of currency in the world. Again, it'd be tough to trade your oil for their food or whatever, but it is something that we still honor in the world, usually in the markets, in the bigger markets though. The next one's called fiat currency. And what fiat means is it's usually paper money or metal money like coins, and it's backed by a government. It's not backed by a precious metal like gold. It's just backed by a government. What backs up the American dollar? Nothing. It used to be on the gold standard, but now it's just backed up by the reputation of the United States of America. And is that working? Yeah, so far it's working because the dollars, even though the dollar's down, it's still highly valued in the world. Our dollars are all over the world. So our currency is fiat currency. It's not backed up by anything. It's simply backed up by the reputation of our government. Representative currency, that's money that is backed up by precious metals. For example, the gold standard. Gold standard is where you say $1 is worth a certain amount of gold, and you could literally exchange your currency for gold dust at a time in our country. But we got off the representative system, as I already said, but some countries still use it, and it simply means that your money is backed up by precious metals, usually the gold standard or the silver standard. Before we get into the next part, I've got to talk to you guys about interest. Interest is the extra money you have to pay back when taking out a loan. Interest is also the extra money that's paid back to you when you invest. And this is important because it drives our banking system. And when I talk to you guys about the Federal Reserve here in a second, interest becomes an important part of that. So please understand interest either works for you or against you. And as you become an adult, really keep in mind of interest loans and rates and things like that and investing, because when you invest, you make money off of interest. So interest is that extra money you pay back when you take out a loan, or it's paid back to you when you invest. The next part is the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is the United States Central Bank. This is the central bank that has a lot of power in our country. They print our money. What's interesting about them, though, is that it's a private corporation, and they're never audited by Congress. And even though they manage our currency and our banking system, they're not able to be audited by Congress. And I'm not going to get into conspiracy theory now, but if you want to read some interesting stuff, read about the Federal Reserve. So now, what does the Federal Reserve physically do? They have several roles. Number one, they print money. All right. They print out our money and they watch it very close. Our money is all over the world. There's serial numbers on our money. The Secret Service, which is the group that protects the president, their other job is to protect our money. And when people counterfeit or fake our money, the Secret Service are the ones that usually come and arrest them. So the role of the Federal Reserve is to print our money and to really watch how many dollars are in circulation. Remember, too many dollars in circulation, you have inflation of that dollar. So they really watch the supply close. Number two, they loan money to banks at a low interest rate. And that's so banks can loan money to us and we can take that money and put it into the economy. And by spending money, it makes the economy stronger. So the Federal Reserve wants to loan out money to help drive our economy. Number three, they want to keep the economy strong and the dollar valuable. And I touched on that a second ago with print of money. They want to print out the correct amount to keep the money flowing throughout the economy so that people can spend it. But they also want to keep the economy strong. They're worried about jobs. They're worried about the banking system. So they monitor quite a bit. The next one is regulate the banking system. They lend out money to the banks, and each bank in the United States has to be regulated by the Federal Reserve through one of the Federal Reserve chapter banks. And they lend out money to them when they need it. And they also make sure that they're following the rules and they have the correct amount of money inside of their bank. And that way, if people go to pull out their money, it will always be there. So they help regulate our entire system, the banking system. Finally, the Federal Reserve regulates the economy through quantitative easing. All right. So what is quantitative easing? This is kind of crazy. Quantitative easing is what happens if people are having a hard time getting loans. So like if the economy is struggling, maybe like the economic crash of 2008, banks are really leery of lending out money because people were not doing a good job of paying banks back and banks were shutting down because of this. So if that happens, what the Federal Reserve will do is they will step in and they'll use quantitative easing. And what they do is they literally credit themselves with billions of dollars. And then they take that billions of dollars that they gave to themselves, our tax dollars from the government, and then they start buying products in the open market. What do they usually buy? Well, they usually buy bonds. They buy up other governments' debts or other corporations' debts called bonds. And once they buy them, now that money is injected in the market because the corporation or person they bought it from now has a bunch of our money. So what do they do with it? They start purchasing things, and now that money is injected into the market. So quantitative easing is a very controversial way that the Federal Reserve actually helps ease economic crises in our country whenever we're having some kind of problem like a recession or a depression. So I was able to get through that pretty quick. Please make sure you go and read your packet on the Federal Reserve. I have it all uploaded for you. I have 2 other videos in there. What does the Federal Reserve do? And quantitative easing. So watch those videos and take great notes. And then I have a video for you on regulating the economy. So please make sure you watch that one. Tomorrow will be a busy day. The assignment is not too long, so you shouldn't have a problem there. So bless all of you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day and take